F1 is back.
And it's gone retro.
The cars take centre stage this year. Their new designs hark back to Formula One's glory days. Wider bodywork, wider tyres, wider wings, and more downforce.
The car looks incredible. With it wide front tyres and rear tyres, I think it looks incredible.
They look wide and low and aggressive.
If they look fast, they are normally fast.
You better tune in for this.
Formula One is ushering in a new era for 2017. New cars, new owners, and a new look grid. The big change is at the front, with 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg retiring and the flying Finn Valtteri Bottas from Williams replacing him at Mercedes. Red Bull and Ferrari have stuck with their tried and tested pairings, while last year's surprise package, Force India, have replaced Renault-bound Nico Hülkenberg with Esteban Ocon, the French driver impressing at Manor last season. He takes a seat alongside Sergio Perez. With Bottas leaving Williams, Felipe Massa has postponed his retirement, some much-needed experience alongside 18-year-old rookie Lance Stroll. McLaren have said goodbye to Jenson Button, which means rising star Stoffel Vandoorne steps in alongside Fernando Alonso. Toro Rosso are unchanged, whilst American team Haas welcomed Kevin Magnussen from Renault. The Dane replaces Esteban Gutierrez, with the Mexican moving to Formula E. Renault have Nico Hülkenberg teaming up with Jolyon Palmer, and Sauber welcome Pascal Wehrlein from Manor. They're of course not on the grid this year. 10 teams at 20 races. There is so much to look forward to. Welcome to another season of the circuit. Coming up, flying Finn Valtteri Bottas.
I'm doing this sport only because I want to win races, I want to win titles.
McLaren's star rookie Stoffel Vandoorne.
I've always had a sweet spot for McLaren.
And a tribute to F1's former chief, Bernie Ecclestone. But first to the news that shook the F1 paddock and beyond. Nico Rosberg's decision to retire just 5 days after winning the title.
I really feel fulfilled. At the end of this year, it was the first time ever in my Formula One career that the title was in my control. And that's when the thought started to come that actually it would just feel awesome and the right thing for me, if I do win this and achieve my childhood dream, to then call it a day at that point.
There were some people, presumably, who, like your family, who had an inclination that you were going to call it a day.
No.
Nobody at all?
Just my wife, Vivian.
Yeah.
Because she was the only one that I discussed it with. But even her, she didn't believe me until I really did it.
Who was the most shocked?
Everybody. Everybody. But of course, then when I explained it, then it all made sense to the people who are around me. So, which I'm glad it did, and even the general public. I really appreciate that it was positively taken.
Do you think non-drivers can really grasp the kind of psychological aspects and what it took you this year to achieve what you achieved?
Is that a question that you prepared?
No.
That was spontaneous?
Mm-hmm.
Very good journalistic effort there.
Thanks.
Difficult, but I think yes, because even in your everyday life, there are always challenges that are thrown at you, which can be extremely difficult. In the end, pressure and intensity was unbelievable. Seldom experienced something like that before. Because there's so much going on, and so much the intensity on the racetrack. The battle with Lewis, and with all the other guys. Then it goes beyond that. There's the whole team, the 1,500 people around us who are building these two race cars. All the media, media is massive, and that also has an impact because it's just so big. So there's so many different levels to it.
What was the toughest bit to kind of handle from your perspective?
To lose to Lewis the 2 championships prior to this year, it was very, very tough, and especially in the way it happened sometimes. really not easy to handle. But even that I wouldn't change for anything, because I know that it's the struggles that make me stronger. You know, as long as I'm able to turn it into a positive power and really reap motivation from it, which I have managed to do, and I'm very proud of that. And my family helped me so much, because they all put racing as the #1 priority, and everything else was secondary.
Had you sat down and had that conversation that, you know,
Yeah.
we are going to
Yeah, for
prioritize
sure.
this for this period
Yeah,
of
no,
time?
definitely. Well, you have to.
Yeah.
For sure, yes. And Vivian was really understanding, and she was just full on the same path as I was, you know.
What do you think your overriding feeling will be on that last weekend in March, when everyone's lining up for the Australian Grand Prix?
How can I know? No, I can't know. I know that I'll be a fan of our sport, for sure. It'll be exciting to see the new cars and the battles and all that. So I'll definitely follow. I want to be involved in the sport as well, and say in some way or other. That would be great. Let's see in what sort of position. And I can just say that now I'm really feeling content with the direction I've taken.
Nico's retirement meant the most sought-after seat in Formula One was up for grabs, and Valtteri Bottas wasted no time in putting his name forward to the champions.
I have to say it wasn't that long until I called Toto after the announcement. So yeah,
What did you say? Did you have your sales pitch ready?
no sales talking, just telling the facts that I'm doing this sport only because I want to win races, I want to win titles, and I just made that very, very clear to him.
Do you realise the size of the challenge that you're taking on joining Mercedes?
I do realize completely the situation I am in, and I'm very excited. I can't wait for the season. You know, this is also my opportunity. I feel like I haven't proved yet anything in Formula One. Obviously, I had some podiums, but no wins, nothing like that. And I'm ready for the challenge. And I am not worried at all about the mental battles and so on. For me, the best will be to keep doing my own thing, work very hard with the team and also with Lewis together, and go from there.
Do you slightly feel the pressure because you still haven't got that race win? I know we were talking about this time last year, you were saying this has to be the season I get my race win.
Yeah, it wasn't, and I'm glad there's a new opportunity again. You know, I'm not, because of the race win, I'm not taking any extra pressure. I know I can do it. We didn't have the opportunity, especially last year with Williams, unfortunately. We couldn't win a race together, which would have been nice because I spent 4 seasons as a race driver, so I think we kind of deserved it, but shame we couldn't make it. But now it's a new era in my career, and hopefully it's going to be possible very soon.
Have you spoken to Nico about what it's like?
No, I haven't, no. Probably, hopefully, at some point. He obviously spent a long time in the team and he knows each and every one very well. He won the title with the team, so for sure I try to look everywhere where I can find help.
A lot's been said about maybe the challenges of being a teammate of Lewis Hamilton. What are you like as a teammate?
Well, yeah, it's...
Should he be fearful of you?
Well, I wouldn't want to be my own teammate, that's for sure. You know, I'm very excited being Lewis's teammate, and I always want my teammate to be as good as possible. I think it's good for you, it's good for both the drivers, so I'm really looking forward to the season. He's a 3-time world champion. I haven't won a race, so I feel like I have plenty to prove. Not much to lose. I think more to win. I definitely wanna go for the gold. You know, that's once you have the chance, of course, you need to go for it.
Valtteri may have only joined the champions in January, but his Mercedes car has been in production a whole lot longer than that. F1 cars take months and months to build, and Red Bull have been speeding us through the process.
The journey begins at the Red Bull factory in southern England. Each season a car is designed and built here, and every piece can be traced back to a simple pencil drawing. 600 people design, test, build and assemble the 40,000 parts in the car using 3D software. The manufacturing side of the factory runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As with everything in Formula One, speed is key. New parts can be designed and built in a single day. Simulators are used to test how new parts will work on track before being made in the machine shop. Even the painting process has been designed with minimum weight and maximum speed. It's an intense process. The team can get a brand new car track ready in just 5 months. But the design evolution never stops. The car that finishes the year bears only a passing resemblance to the one that starts the new season in March.
Coming up next, we put Force India's Frenchman Esteban Ocon under the spotlight.
Stoffel is unquestionably the next generation, isn't he? And he's just waiting for his time.
Stoffel Vandoorne, again, I think he has to be in F1 next year. That's a no-brainer.
Welcome back to the circuit. We're at McLaren looking ahead to Stoffel Vandoorne's long-awaited debut season.
It's always been a dream for me to be in Formula One, and I remember when I was watching television and seeing David Coulthard, Mika Häkkinen. Those were actually my favorite cars as well at the time. So I've always had a sweet spot for McLaren, and it's a huge achievement, and I'm looking forward to give my best for the team.
We know you have your official title now is driver, not reserve driver. You have your car, but what does it mean in real terms? Do you have a locker here with your name on it that's different to last time, or a big desk in your own office? Or?
But honestly, for me, there's not such a big change because I've been with McLaren for 4 years. I've been in the Young Driver program, racing in GP2, World Series, Super Formula. So I know most of the guys here, and it feels very natural for me to come in.
Does it add to the pressure, the fact that you are not just going to have to prove yourself your first season in Formula One, but the fact that you're driving against Fernando in the same car?
I think Formula One is always a pressure environment, no matter what. I have a very good relationship with Fernando. I've been working with him for the past 2 years now, and I've seen how he works with the team, how he interacts with the people, and of course he's a very competitive guy. So I know what it's like to be with him, to be next to him, and I just have to make the most out of every situation, out of his experience. It's got to be my first season, but I think I'm capable of doing a good job as well.
The fact actually that this is a season that there's so many rules and regulation changes, the cars are very different. Do you think that almost levels the playing field a little bit for you, the fact that you're a newer driver won't be such a factor?
I think it's good for me to come in when there is some changes because, like you said, it equals out the field a little bit. But in the end, experience still helps in every situation, and us drivers are generally pretty good to adapt to new cars when regulations changes.
Are you excited about the rules and regulation changes? The fact you get to go a bit faster as well?
I think your
Maybe
guys are
hopefully
going
go a bit faster.
Yeah, it will go faster normally, so we shouldn't be worried about that. But I think in terms of looks and aerodynamica, it's a positive step. I think the cars look very futuristic and will be looking very cool, which is good for everybody really. And yeah, for us as drivers, we wanted to go as fast as possible, and it looks like it's going that way.
How will you approach Melbourne? At some point in that weekend, you must have that moment of, here I am.
You know, when you line up on the grid and 5 lights go on, at that time you're not really thinking too much about it. You're just getting on with your job and making sure you do all the procedures right, making sure you don't make any mistakes. I know once I get in the car, I'm very focused on what I do, and I suspect it will be the same in Melbourne.
Are you going to become a lot more demanding now? A bit ruder, get a bit more attitude?
I don't see why.
You stay exactly as you are.
Exactly.
How a driver conducts himself on and off track can mean the difference in securing a race seat or not.
Head up a little bit, yeah. Just turn your feet inward slightly.
I'm not a pro on photo shooting and marketing stuff. I try to do my best.
And then maybe fold your arms.
20-year-old Esteban Ocon got the nod at Force India this season after impressing at Manor for the second half of last year.
I always wanted to be a Formula One driver, and it's part of Formula One, so I take it as a job and as a part of racing.
He's professional, and he gets that being a Grand Prix driver is not just about jumping in the car and being paid lots of money. It's about the media, it's about connecting with the sponsors, it's about understanding that without fans we are not professionals, because without fans we don't get paid to do it.
Just looking away from the camera. Yeah, that's nice.
I started after a half of the season. There was 12 Grand Prix that I missed, so it's a lot different. You have time to develop with the team, to get to know everyone, to build a proper relationship with your engineers and the mechanics. So it's a lot different, and it's also better to be prepared. Cars of 2017 are going to be wider, are going to be fast in corners, and they are going to be also harder to overtake. Everything's going to be shorter. The lap time, but also braking distance, everything. So no, I've been spending a lot of time in the gym, a lot. 1 month and a half, 2 months now. So no, I look forward to be at the first race, and I will be ready physically for sure. But it's been hard. I'm still new in Formula One. I need to learn from Checo quite a lot, learn from his experience and from the team as soon as possible to be at the pace straight away. That's my target. And then yeah, I hope I can bring some fresh air and have a great time with the team.
Twenty 2017 is a game changer for Formula One for many reasons, but the principal one being that it has changed hands. Bernie Ecclestone, the man who ruled the roost for 40 years, is no longer making any of the big decisions. Bernie Ecclestone is a little man with enormous energy. And he used that energy to lift himself more or less by the bootstraps from being a second-hand car salesman to one of the wealthiest men in sport. If you're talking about Bernie Ecclestone's roles in the sport, he's actually played many parts, because way back in the day, I'm talking about the 50s now, he actually was a driver. Not a very good one, but he was a driver. But when he was racing, he realized that actually there could be a bit of business to be had there as well. He disappeared for a while, and when he came back as a team owner. He owned the Brabham team, and when he was doing that, he could see where the sport was going wrong. He could see where it needed to be raise its game to a professional standard. If Bernie's to be remembered for any one specific thing, it was his ability to realize and maximize the effect of TV coverage for the sport. Because what the TV companies used to do was they would choose the races they wanted, the Monaco Grand Prix, for example, or the BBC would choose their home Grand Prix at Silverstone. So he said, no, if you want to do those races, you've got to do them all. We want coverage for all the Grand Prix we're doing, the 15 or 16 Grand Prix, as it was at the time, and you have to sign a deal for that. So he just turned the thing on its head, and he made a template, if you like, for other sports to follow with regard to utilising television to the maximum, not only for the coverage, but also financially. Bernie was very determined, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. And so, of course, along the way, that got a lot of people's backs up. He probably was, without question, the most difficult man to interview, because his answers would be monosyllabic and evasive, because he really didn't want to tell you anything, because he didn't want you prying into his business of making money. One example, for example, of this ruthlessness was the 2000 British Grand Prix. Now, the organisers at Silverstone were trying to run the race, they were trying to negotiate a better deal for themselves. Bernie wanted more money. It got a bit fraught, so he simply switched the date from the traditional July date to April. And of course the weather was appalling. Silverstone nearly went under, literally under the mud, but also financially as well because of that. And he had that power to do that. The spectators suffered as a result because they had to go through these conditions. He didn't care, but he got his deal done with Silverstone. So that gives you one little clue as to what he was like and to how he would upset some people along the way. The new company, Liberty Media, as the title suggests, they are very aware of how to promote the sport. They can see where all the faults have lain. They've got a guy called Ross Brawn in charge of the technical side. Now, Ross has won championships with Ferrari, Benetton and his own team. He knows what Formula One's all about. If you like, he's the poacher term gamekeeper. And he can see exactly what needs doing, and it seems that they are going to do that, and Formula One was very much in need of it because it was rapidly losing its way, TV figures were down, and it needed a boost, and I think we're going to get it. Along the way, of course, he made some enemies, but overall, Bernie Ecclestone, the man who ruled the roost for 40 years, did it a lot of good, and he will be remembered for the man that made Formula One what it is today.
So exciting times for Formula One under its new owners, Liberty Media. Roll on, Melbourne.